Turkey is now heading toward an unprecedented presidential runoff after longtime President Erdogan failed to clear the 50% threshold he needs for an outright victory in Sunday's election. This is the toughest challenge yet to Erdogan's 20-year rule, during which Turkey, NATO's second largest military, has emerged as a key conduit between the East and West. NBC's Raf Sanchez is following the race from Tel Aviv for us. So, Raf, the two sides now have, I think, 2 weeks to convince voters before that runoff election. What are the stakes for Turkey and, frankly, for the region?
Yeah, Chris, the stakes incredibly high, both for the future of Turkish democracy and for the future of its relationship with NATO. On the democracy front, as you know, Erdogan has now been in power for 20 years. He was elected initially as a reformer, but he's become increasingly authoritarian in recent years, jailing journalists, jailing political opponents, tightening his control of the courts. And so many people in Turkey see this election as really their last best chance to beat Erdogan at the ballot box, to put their country back on a democratic path. On the foreign policy front, as you said, Turkey is just an unbelievably important geopolitical player. It's on the Mediterranean, it's on the Black Sea, it's in between Europe and the Middle East. It is a member of NATO, but Chris, that relationship with the rest of the alliance has been complicated, to say the least. President Erdogan on the campaign trail has been periodically lashing out at President Biden. Turkey has refused to join in Western sanctions against Russia. And right now, Erdogan is holding up Sweden joining the NATO alliance. Now, Erdogan's challenger, Kılıçdaroğlu, has said he would put the country on a much more pro-Western path if he's elected. But the main issue in this election, Chris, has been the economy, as it often is. Inflation has been rampant in Turkey over the last couple of years. It has really decimated the middle class, and it's dented Erdogan's popularity. So neither he nor his challenger clearing that crucial 50% mark in the first round of voting last night. That means, as you said, that we are heading for a runoff in 2 weeks' time. There was a third-party candidate, Chris, who was eliminated in the first round of voting. He won about 5% of the vote. And he may be something of a kingmaker over these next 2 weeks of voting if he can send his supporters one way or another. Last night was a disappointment for the opposition. They were leading in the polls going into this election. They really had high hopes that they might be able to defeat Erdogan in this first round, but it didn't happen. And instead, in the early hours of this morning, it was Erdogan who was giving somewhat of a triumphant speech to his supporters in Ankara, the Turkish capital. So the clock is ticking now, 2 weeks until the final round of this election, with a whole lot at stake, both for Turkey and for the world. Chris?
Without a doubt, Raf Sanchez, thank you.